Raider Nation, what's going on? If you haven't already, smash that like button right now because coming up here on today's show, I got my top 5 UDFAs that could make the Raiders 53-man roster. If you're not fired up watching this video, the reason why that I say that is if you're a Raider fan watching Raiders YouTube videos in May, I salute you. If you're a Raider fan watching Raiders YouTube videos in May around undrafted free agents, you're what I like to call a real one. And I need real ones here on the Raiders Report. It's how you get this thing to grow. Like, I'm not trying to put on a Chargers watch party. I'm not trying to do a Chiefs tailgate. The Raiders Report, I want that to be an Oakland tailgate all day, every day. And the only way you're making that happen is if you get some real ones in there. So the people that are watching this show, real one out there, subscribe if you're the biggest Raider fan that you know. And if you know somebody that's a big Raider fan, I want you to send this link to them. Say, hey, have you subscribed to the show? I think you're going to like it a lot. So coming up here, we're going to be ranking from 5 down to 1. The player that's ranked number 1 is the player that I believe out of the UDFAs is the most likely to make this roster. Let's go to number 5 here on my list. I got Amari Gainer, linebacker edge out of North Carolina, and is a player that I have said before that I do like. I actually thought that he was going to end up getting drafted, and depending on how the Raiders want to use him is what's going to dictate how much work that he gets. I'll admit, the way that I think Gainer ends up making this roster is kind of think of the way the role that Curtis Bolton played last season for this team. Could offer you a good run stopper, offered you a little bit of ability if you needed to get after the quarterback, was a good athlete, but his biggest thing is a gunner. And a lot of times for these players here, the way that it has to work out is you need somebody that can fill the hole and go up and make some moves. 237 tackles from his time with the North Carolina Tar Heels. He had 51 pressures, 11.6% pressure win rate. You want to talk about a shuffle, 4.32 shuffle. Those are some of the numbers that I like for a linebacker, but at 4.6 40-yard dash, somebody that has some playing experience, the way that he makes this roster, again, playing that Curtis Bolton type of role. And it's going to be tough because the only way that he makes this team is if the Raiders decide to keep 5 linebackers. Spillane, Diablo, Eichenberg, I would say are the locks of the group, though Diablo, it could be somebody, if they decide to move on from somebody, could be someone to throw out there. Luke Masterson, Amari Burney, other names absolutely to keep in mind. But then again, Gainer also gives you just a little bit of ability of being able to go out and get the quarterback. And there's a part of me that almost thinks that it might be easier for him to make the roster as just a true edge, which is kind of why we have him listed here as the edge depth chart, not so much as just the linebacker one. Janarius Robinson, we'll see if he ends up making this team. Gainer could be a sneaky under-the-radar player like a Malcolm Kuntz in 2 to 3 years. Not so much 8 sacks, Kuntz, but more of like 3.5, 4 sacks. Let's go to number 4 here on the list, and it's Carter Bradley at the quarterback position. The Silver and Black will keep 3 quarterbacks this season. Gardner Minshew, going to make the roster. Aiden O'Connell, going to make the roster. Then it comes down to a little bit of a quarterback battle, and money talks a lot, and that's kind of how I've dictated this show around money, because you can talk about stats, you can talk about how these guys played in college. What did the Raiders do financially? And depending on how much money they gave a lot of these UDFAs tells me what they think of them. It also tells me how much money they're willing to invest, and it's just like real life. If you invest more money, you're going to spend a little bit more time and energy on that certain asset. They gave him $25,000 bonus, $125,000 guaranteed. He's also the son of former Raiders defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, and just being around football and talking to some of the players, actually having a QB whose dad is a defensive coordinator, it helps you see the field a little bit more, and I think his ability to help out the Raiders in practice, like Carter Bradley ain't getting on the playing field. He's not. But in the practice world, can he give you more ability, and can he help out defense? Can he help out receivers, tight ends in practice more than Anthony Brown Jr.? If he proves to be a more valuable asset in the practice squad on practice than Anthony Brown, then that's going to be the guy that they're going to keep around. So if you could pick a quarterback 3, who would you pick? And this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. You're going to go Carter Bradley, type CB. Are you going to go Anthony Brown Jr.? I want you to type AB. Now, usually on this show, man, I'm spamming FAB. But the reason I will still bet my money on Anthony Brown is because he offers you something a little bit different, athletic ability. He is the most athletic quarterback that the Raiders have with Gardner Minshew and with Aiden O'Connell. It's not saying a lot, but it's a fact. And if you want a QB that can run a little bit, he's your guy. If you want a quarterback that fits more of that mold of what you currently have and you want to be able to operate practice with what you currently have, then maybe Carter Bradley is the better option. And coming up next here on the show, I got my top 3 UDFAs to make the Raiders roster. And number 1, I think, is the name that people might suspect. Number 2, though, is a guy that I'm really, really starting to fall in love with. And I was really, really big on Adam Plant Jr. last season, and I hope that he's doing well. Adam, I've been watching you doing your thing in your leagues. But, like, this guy at number 2, he might be my Adam Plant Jr. He's a guy that I'm falling in love with. Somebody who I love very, very much. Mom, best mom in the world. She is my ride or die. Talk to her all the time. Just bought her a juicer. She's absolutely in love with it. But my mom was not a Raider fan. My mom's not a fan really of sports in general, but I've recently bought my mom. She's got a Raiders hoodie. She's got a Raiders t-shirt. She's now got a Raiders coffee mug, but she uses it for her juicer. And, like, my mom's not all that into sports. I'll be real with y'all. She's not much into sports, but she's always supported me in anything that I did. And because now I do this show, there's been times where I call her and she's rocking a Raiders shirt. She's rocking a Raiders sweater. And I love it because she'll, like, text me and be like, hey, look what I'm wearing. Bottom line is, if you got that special lady in your life, whether it's your mom, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your baby mama, your girlfriend, maybe your daughter, she's a mom, right? And you're a happy grandparent. Get that special lady in your life something nice. Chatsports.com/RaiderMom. If you got another special lady in your life, and you guys know what I'm talking about, I will just say, I dare you to click chatsports.com/RaiderMilf. That's all I'm going to say. It's a real link. It exists. You can go on your tab right now. You can go up into Google. You know, like, you never see that cat meme? Chatsports.com/RaiderMilf. It exists. Get your MILF something nice. Get your mom something nice. Bottom line is, I think women in general, the fact that they can literally create a human being is the most unbelievable thing in the entire world. If you don't get that special lady in your life something special for Mother's Day, shame on you. Chatsports.com/RaiderMom, or for the daring ones out there, chatsports.com/RaiderMilf. Let's go to number 3 here. I got Tulu Griffin at the wide receiver position. What's funny is there's going to be some UDFA that's never seen this show in their entire life, and I guarantee you they're going to be like, hey, Ma, hey, Dad, some guy on YouTube's talking about me. Let's watch it together. And then they're going to see that whole MILF thing, and they're going to be like, you can't watch this guy anymore. If it happens, it happens. But, hey, at the end of the day, we're family. We're going to talk the way that I talk with my family. We got Tulu Griffin. His real name is Leaderick. 126 grabs. The reason why I have him at number 3 is not so much because of his wide receiver ability, but more of just his kick returning ability, special teams ability. Again, for a UDFA to make the roster, you can't just do one thing. You got to do a multitude of things. You got to be able to run routes. You got to be able to catch the football, but you also got to be able to help essentially play special teams. Like, think about any job that you had. When I first started here at Chat Sports, I was working on Facebook. I was doing 100 different things. Why? I had to show that I was willing to do whatever it took to be able to make the squad. And I made the squad. And now I got to the point that I'm at. These guys, these UDFAs, they got to be able to do the exact same thing. And I think for a guy like Tulu, he might be able to find an interesting roster spot for special teams. Let's go to number 2 here. Ron Stone. And Ron Stone is, I want you guys to look up Ron Stone this weekend when you get some free time. Watch him. You're going to like him a lot. He gives a lot of effort. And for a UDFA, I know, you got to be able to play multiple positions. For the edge position, especially for a UDFA, I want a guy that hustles. I want a guy that's got heart. I want a dude that, no disrespect to you, Ron, if you watch this show, shout out to you. Not the most athletic player for NFL talent, but he's got it in here. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm willing to bet on a guy that's got it in here because he's going to put his time and his effort. And then if you're also working next to a guy like Max Crosby and you have it in here, but you might not have that athletic ability, you might not ever be a player that's getting us double-digit sacks. But can he be a reliable edge rusher? And if we need 10 snaps a game, that's a guy, he goes out there 10 snaps, he's given 110%. You gave him a $20,000 signing bonus, $170,000 guaranteed. That's the second most of all UDFAs. 31.5 tackles for loss, 16 sacks, good 40 time, good player, nice win rate on top of that. But because of his chance to make this team, Is Janarius Robinson going to make it? I don't know. And out of everybody else, I'm telling you this right now, Stone is a fun player, and the Raiders invested some money in him. So how about this? You tell me right now which UDFA is the most likely to make the roster. And if you can count, which, King Zay watching right now. King Zay, it's all love. Not everybody can count down. We're going to go 2. We're about to go to 1. This is the number 1 player that I believe is the most likely to make this team, and his name is Jaquan Sheppard, cornerback from Maryland. Another player that I had a draftable grade on him, and we thought that he could be a player that sneaks into the back end of round 7. The reason why he's number 1 on this list, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any other way, it's this right here, dinero, right? $25,000 bonus, which that's what they gave to a quarterback. Think about quarterback, cornerback, money right there guaranteed, but $230,000 guaranteed. It's like top 15 in terms of overall money given out to UDFAs. Usually when a UDFA is given that much money, they're going to have a little bit of a longer of a leash. 95 tackles, 81.3 quarterback rating against him, and he's done some good stuff in college, right? It's Big Ten talent. Also former teammate of Jacorian Bennett, so maybe that's somebody that can be a little bit more reliable for Bennett to be like that guy he can lean on. And I do think that the Raiders, I shouldn't even say I do think, I know for a fact the Raiders want Jacorian Bennett to work out. Hell, they want every young player on their roster to take the leap that Malcolm Kuntz just did. And if you believe that you could potentially help out a young man that you see a lot in, but maybe he just needs a few more guys in his corner. And, the one part that we just don't really talk about all that much, because a lot of the things that we discuss are things that we see on Sunday, where there's a lot of other behind-the-scenes stuff that happens all the other days of the weekend. What if Jacorian's not the best locker room fit? What if Jacorian's having a hard time making friends? What if he's just not the guy that he has the confidence and swagger that he did at Maryland? Because just like anybody in life, if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you're not going to be as good as what you can potentially be. And Jacorian out there on the field on Sunday showed me a player that did not have a lot of confidence and was second-guessing. The way that you are great, and I think Merrick really spoke well on this last season, where everybody's good in the NFL. Every single person. And if you're just a half a second slow, you're going to be too late. And if you can go out there and stop thinking and just reacting and playing because you're confident, that can go very far. So I'm wondering if Jaquan Sheppard is one of these players that can help Jacorian Bennett really achieve the most he can. And I'm wondering if some of the money that they gave him could be a reason in that. But Jaquan Sheppard is the number 1 most likely UDFA to make this Raiders roster. And like I said at the start of the show, if you made it here, we always give a shout out to the Noti gang. I'm going to tell Chugs, and I'm going to tell y'all right now, when we go live again, which is going to be Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to pick 5 people that watch this video that spammed RO4L, because again, if you're spamming RO4L and you made it to the end of this show in the month of May on UDFAs, that to me is what a real one is. That to me is somebody that I can look at and say, you know what, we're not family, like blood-wise, but we are family because we bleed silver and black. Yeah, real ones. If you're a real one, spam it down below. To all the UDFAs out there, though, real talk, I wish you guys the best of luck. And if any UDFA wants to join the Raiders Report, you hit me up on IG, you hit me up on Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365, and we're going to make it happen this offseason.